The Zephyrian invasion began exactly as planned. Fleet Commander Zikthara looked down at Earth from his command ship and felt bored. This was going to be too easy. He decided to use only 1/3 of his fleet for the actual invasion. The rest could stay in space and watch the show. Begin landing operations, he ordered his officers. Send the first wave to their major population centers. Make sure to record everything. The High Council enjoys watching primitive species surrender. Hundreds of dropships left the main fleet and headed toward Earth's surface. Each ship carried 50 Zephyrian soldiers with plasma rifles and energy shields. They had enough firepower to level entire city blocks. The aliens expected the humans to run, screaming or fall to their knees begging for mercy. Colonel Ben Parker watched the alien ships approaching from his underground bunker beneath what looked like a major military base. On his screens, he could see the bug-like creatures inside their ships, checking their weapons and preparing to step onto human soil. Parker smiled grimly and activated his radio. "All units, this is Command Base Alpha," he said. "The visitors are arriving right on schedule. Begin Operation Fake Retreat. Make it look good, but don't get too close to their weapons." Across the world, human military units began what looked like panicked retreats. In New York City, Colonel Steve Rogers led his soldiers in a desperate-looking run through the streets. Behind them, Zephyrian dropships landed in Central Park and bug-like soldiers poured out, their plasma rifles glowing with deadly energy. "Fall back to the subway tunnels," Rogers shouted to his men, making sure the aliens could hear him. "We can't fight these things in the open." The Zephyrians clicked their mouthparts in satisfaction. This was going exactly as expected. The primitive mammals were running away like scared animals. The bug soldiers followed the fleeing humans into the subway system, eager to finish them off quickly. What the aliens didn't notice was that every tunnel had been carefully prepared. Hidden cameras watched their every move. Secret sensors measured their weapons and recorded their tactics. Most importantly, every route led deeper into a maze of underground passages that had taken 20 years to build. Above ground, Lieutenant Amy Foster climbed into her F-35 fighter jet at a secret airbase that looked abandoned from the outside. Her plane appeared to be a standard human aircraft, but hidden inside were instruments that could analyze alien technology. Her mission was to attack a Zephyrian cruiser and make it look like human desperation. "Phoenix Squadron, this is base control," came the voice in her headset. "Remember, you need to get shot down but not killed. Eject at the last second and let the plane crash into the ocean." Foster flew her jet straight at a large crystal ship hovering over the Atlantic Ocean. She fired her missiles at its energy shields, knowing they would bounce off harmlessly. The alien ship's defensive systems locked onto her plane and fired a bright energy beam. Foster ejected just before the beam hit her aircraft. She watched her plane spiral into the water in a ball of flames, while her parachute carried her toward a rescue boat that was pretending to be civilian fishermen. In the alien ship, the weapons officer reported to his captain, "Another primitive aircraft destroyed, sir. These humans have no chance against our superior technology." But while the Zephyrians celebrated their easy victories, hidden human forces were gathering intelligence about alien weaknesses. Dr. Lisa Hayes worked in a secret facility built inside a mountain that looked empty on alien sensors. Her computers analyzed every energy beam, every shield frequency, every communication signal the aliens used. "Fascinating," she said to her research team. "Their plasma weapons operate on a very narrow frequency range, and their shields have a recharge cycle that takes exactly 3.7 seconds. Most importantly, their communication systems use quantum encryption that follows predictable mathematical patterns." Hayes had discovered something the aliens never expected. Humans were very good at finding patterns and solving puzzles. Every alien technology had weaknesses that could be exploited if someone was smart enough to figure them out. Meanwhile, in the Pacific Ocean, something huge was rising from the deepest trenches. Captain Danny Cruz commanded the underwater base called Deep Strike Station. For 15 years, his people had been building ships and weapons using recovered alien technology, mixed with human engineering. "All hands prepare for surface operations," Cruz announced to his crew. "It's time to show our visitors what we've really been doing down here." The base rose slowly toward the surface, hidden by special systems that made it invisible to alien sensors. Inside were submarines that could fly through space and aircraft that could dive to the bottom of the ocean. But most importantly, it contained weapons that no alien database had any information about. On the surface, The fake human resistance continued exactly as planned. Cities appeared to fall one by one as alien forces pushed deeper into human territory. Governments seemed to collapse as their leaders fled in panic. News broadcasts showed chaos and defeat everywhere the aliens looked. But in secret facilities around the world, the real human military was preparing for the next phase. General Rick Barnes received orders at Hidden Base Omega, built inside a hollowed-out mountain in Colorado. His job was to coordinate the air defense that would soon surprise the alien fleet. All stealth squadrons report ready, came the voices of pilots who had trained for decades to fight alien ships. Their aircraft were invisible to Zephyrian sensors because they used completely different technology than anything in alien databases. Major Kate Sullivan prepared her special submarine spacecraft at the underwater base. Her crew had spent years learning to fight in both water and space using weapons that combined the best of human and alien engineering. "Remember your training," she told her officers. "These bugs think in straight lines because their minds work like computers. We're going to show them what three-dimensional thinking looks like." As the first day of invasion ended, Fleet Commander Zikthara felt satisfied with his force's progress. Several major human cities had fallen, and thousands of the primitive mammals had been captured or killed. The resistance was collapsing faster than even his most optimistic predictions. "Excellent work," he told his subordinates. "At this rate, we'll have the planet completely under control in less than a week. Begin preparing the processing centers for the surviving humans." The other alien officers clicked their mouthparts in agreement. This conquest was going to be remembered as one of the easiest in Zephyrian history. None of them suspected that every move they made was being recorded and analyzed by hidden human forces. None of them realized that their easy victories were carefully orchestrated performances designed to make them overconfident. Most importantly, none of them understood that the primitive mammals they were hunting had been preparing for this exact scenario for over 20 years. The battle turned into a nightmare for the Zephyrian forces within hours of humanity, revealing its true capabilities. Fleet Commander Zikthara watched his invasion fleet being systematically destroyed by an enemy that fought like nothing in their military databases. The primitive mammals had become apex predators in their own system. Captain Rick Barnes led his squadron of hybrid-class interceptors in a coordinated attack on the alien cruisers. These human ships moved through space with an unpredictability that made alien targeting computers useless. They accelerated and turned in patterns that seemed to violate the basic principles of space combat. "Remember what Dr. Hayes taught us," Barnes radioed to his pilots. "These bugs think in straight lines because their minds work like hive insects. We're going to show them what individual creativity looks like in three-dimensional combat." The human fighters didn't engage in traditional space battles with neat formations and predictable maneuvers. Instead, they used everything in the Earth system as tactical advantages. They hid behind asteroids that the aliens had dismissed as space junk, and struck from the shadow of Earth's moon. They even used the planet's atmosphere to mask their approach vectors. Lieutenant Sarah Miller piloted her interceptor through a swarm of alien fighters, her hybrid engines allowing impossible maneuvers that left the enemy pilots confused and helpless. Her weapons were a combination of human engineering and alien technology that produced effects no Zephyrian had ever seen. "Fox 3, engaging bogey on my 6, she called out as she spun her ship in a corkscrew pattern that would have torn apart any conventional aircraft. The alien fighter following her couldn't match the maneuver and flew straight into her weapons fire. Meanwhile, on the planet's surface, the Zephyrian ground forces found themselves trapped in urban environments that had been turned into elaborate hunting grounds. Every building, every street corner, every subway tunnel had been prepared for exactly this kind of fight. Sergeant Nicole Adams led her squad through the underground passages beneath Chicago, using modified alien plasma weapons that had been redesigned according to human tactical principles. Her soldiers moved through the darkness like ghosts, striking the confused alien troops and disappearing before they could respond. "Contact front, Sector 7, she reported to her command. 12 hostiles moving through the main tunnel. Implementing Protocol Roach Motel. Protocol Roach Motel was a perfect description of the trap. The Zephyrian soldiers entered the tunnel system chasing what they thought were fleeing humans, but found themselves in a maze with no exit. Every passage led to prepared kill zones where human soldiers waited with weapons specifically designed to penetrate alien armor. The aliens had superior individual technology, but they had never faced an enemy that could turn an entire environment into a weapon against them. The humans had spent decades modifying their cities specifically to counter alien advantages. Every sewer system, every building foundation, every underground facility had been mapped and weaponized. Dr. Lisa Hayes coordinated the planetary defense from her mobile command center, a vehicle that looked like a civilian truck, but contained communication systems more advanced than anything on the alien ships. She tracked enemy movements through sensor networks that the Zephyrians still couldn't detect. "They're trying to regroup at the New York harbor," she reported to Commander Morrison, probably hoping to establish an evacuation point for their ground forces. But there would be no evacuation. Morrison had deployed Earth's most secret weapon, the Deep Strike Teams. These were special forces units equipped with captured alien technology and trained specifically to fight Zephyrians using their own tactics against them. Colonel Sam Mitchell led the most elite of these teams as they prepared to infiltrate the alien command ship itself. His soldiers wore armor that combined human engineering with Zephyrian stealth technology, making them nearly invisible to alien sensors. "Our mission is simple," Mitchell briefed his team as they prepared to board captured alien transport pods. "No alien leaves this system alive. If even one ship escapes, they'll warn their empire about our real capabilities." The Deep Strike team used Zephyrian teleportation technology to beam directly aboard the Void Piercer while it was still trying to coordinate the failing invasion. They moved through the crystal corridors like death itself, their hybrid weapons cutting through alien defenses with ruthless efficiency. The Zephyrians on their command ship had never experienced boarding actions before. Their rigid military doctrine had no protocols for fighting enemies inside their own vessels. They panicked and scattered as Mitchell's team systematically eliminated the crew. In space, the human fleet continued its relentless hunt for surviving alien ships. Major Kate Sullivan commanded the UES Nemesis, a submarine spacecraft hybrid that could operate in both water and vacuum. Her vessel was perfectly designed for hunting damaged alien cruisers trying to escape into deep space. "Sonar contact bearing 270, reported her navigation officer. "Zephyrian heavy cruiser attempting to flee toward the outer system. Estimated time to intercept 14 minutes. Sullivan smiled grimly as she ordered her crew to pursue. The Nemesis could travel through space like a submarine stalking enemy vessels underwater. Its hybrid propulsion system was completely silent, and its weapons were designed to cripple rather than destroy, ensuring that no alien secrets would be lost. The most devastating surprise came when Hayes activated humanity's final secret weapon. Using captured Zephyrian quantum transmitters, her technicians broadcast a specific frequency that overloaded the neural implants connecting all alien forces. "The beautiful irony," she explained to Morrison over their secure channel, "is that we're using their own communication technology against them. The same implants that make them so efficient as a military force also make them vulnerable to coordinated signal attacks." The frequency pulse traveled through every Zephyrian communication network simultaneously. Soldiers on the ground suddenly found themselves disconnected from their command structure. Pilots in space lost contact with their fleet coordination systems. Even the crew aboard command ships experienced temporary paralysis as their implants overloaded. Fleet Commander Zikthara felt the pulse hit his own neural systems like a hammer blow. For precious seconds, he was completely helpless, unable to move or think clearly. When his vision cleared, he saw human soldiers wearing captured alien armor, moving through his ship's bridge. Colonel Mitchell approached the alien commander with weapons designed specifically to penetrate Zephyrian personal shields. Around the bridge, the rest of the alien crew lay unconscious or dead from the neural pulse attack. "You made one crucial mistake," Mitchell told the dying alien leader. "You assumed we were primitive because our technology looked different from yours. You never considered that we might be smart enough to learn from our enemies and improve on everything we found." In his final moments, Fleet Commander Zikthara understood the terrible truth about humanity. These mammals were not just capable of using alien technology. They were capable of understanding it, modifying it, and turning it into something far more dangerous than its original creators had ever imagined. The last alien resistance crumbled as human forces completed their systematic destruction of the invasion fleet. 300 ships had arrived to conquer Earth. Within 72 hours, none remained operational. Commander Morrison watched from his orbital station as the final alien escape pods were captured or destroyed. The primitive mammals had successfully defended their world using the invaders' own weapons against them. "All units, this is Overwatch Command," he announced. "Operation Sleeping Giant is complete. Begin Phase 3, evidence removal. We need to make sure no trace of this invasion ever reaches the Zephyrian Empire." The first sign that something was wrong came during the second day of invasion. Sub-Commander Velkath noticed strange interference in their communication systems while monitoring human activity from the main fleet. The quantum encryption that connected all Zephyrian forces was experiencing random disruptions. "Sir, we're getting scattered reports from ground units about communication problems," he reported to Fleet Commander Zikthara. "Some squads are receiving false orders or losing contact completely." Zikthara waved a clawed hand dismissively. "Primitive electromagnetic interference from their crude technology. Our systems will adapt automatically." But the interference was not random at all. Deep beneath Mount Cheyenne, Captain Danny Cruz worked with a team of human technicians who had spent 15 years learning to hack alien computer systems. They had broken the Zephyrian quantum codes weeks ago, and were now feeding false information directly into the alien command network. Phase 2 is working perfectly. Cruz reported to Commander Morrison through a secure channel that the aliens couldn't detect. Their units are starting to get confused about where they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to do. The confusion spread slowly through the Zephyrian forces as human hackers took control of more alien communication channels. Squads received orders to move to empty buildings while backup units were sent to the wrong coordinates. Ground commanders found themselves unable to contact their ships for support. But the real surprise was yet to come. Dr. Lisa Hayes stood in the control room of underwater base Leviathan, a massive facility that had been built in secret over the past decade. Around her, technicians brought online weapon systems that represented the perfect combination of human creativity and alien technology. "All stations report. Ready?" announced Lieutenant Sarah Miller from her position at the tactical console. "Stealth systems are operating at full capacity. The aliens still have no idea we're here." Hayes smiled as she looked at the displays showing alien ship positions around Earth. The Zephyrians had made their biggest mistake by assuming human technology was primitive. They had looked for energy signatures similar to their own, and found exactly what they expected to find. They never thought to search for hybrid systems that worked on completely different principles. "Begin surface operations," Hayes ordered. "It's time to introduce ourselves properly." Across the world's oceans, things that should not exist began to rise from the deepest waters. Ships that looked like nothing in any alien database broke the surface and powered up weapons that no Zephyrian sensor could identify. These vessels had been designed specifically to fight crystalline alien ships using tactics that bug-like minds couldn't predict. Commander Morrison watched from his hidden orbital command station as the deception finally dropped away. His facility was disguised as space debris, invisible to alien sensors but equipped with communication systems that could coordinate human forces across the entire solar system. "All units, this is Overwatch Command," he announced. "Operation Sleeping Giant is now active. Show them what humanity really looks like when we stop pretending." The transformation was stunning. Cities that appeared to be in ruins suddenly revealed hidden defensive systems. Buildings that looked damaged opened up to show missile launchers and energy weapons. Underground facilities that aliens thought were destroyed came online, with power systems that made Zephyrian technology look outdated. Major Amy Foster climbed into the cockpit of her real fighter aircraft, at a base that had been invisible to alien scans. This was not the primitive jet she had flown during the fake attack. This was a hybrid-class interceptor that combined human engineering with recovered alien propulsion systems. "All squadrons, prepare for launch," came the order from flight control. "Let's show these bugs what human pilots can really do." The interceptors launched from hidden bases around the world, their hybrid engines allowing them to fly through both atmosphere and space with equal ease. They moved in patterns that confused alien targeting systems because they didn't follow the rigid formations that Zephyrian computers expected. On the ground, the fake retreat suddenly became a coordinated counterattack. Colonel Steve Rogers emerged from the New York subway system, with soldiers carrying weapons that glowed with the same energy as alien plasma rifles, but were designed according to human tactical principles. "All right. Boys," Rogers called to his troops, "time to stop running and start hunting. These bugs are about to learn why you should never corner a human. The Zephyrian forces found themselves facing enemies that fought with tactics they had never seen before. Human soldiers used the urban environment like a weapon, turning every building into a fortress and every street into a kill zone. They didn't fight in the straight lines that alien computers expected, but moved in 3 dimensions using routes that had been prepared over decades. In space, the alien fleet received reports that made no sense. Ships that should not exist were rising from the planet's surface and moving to attack positions. These vessels appeared to use familiar technology but behaved in ways that violated everything the Zephyrians knew about space combat. Impossible readings from the surface, reported the sensor officer aboard the Void Piercer. I'm detecting massive energy sources that weren't there during our initial surveys. Fleet Commander Xeno studied the displays with growing confusion. Run full spectrum analysis. Find out what these primitives have been hiding. But the analysis only made things worse. The human ships registered as using Zephyrian technology, but operated on principles that no alien engineer had ever imagined. They seemed to ignore several basic laws of physics that govern normal spacecraft design. Dr. Hayes had spent years understanding that humans and aliens thought in completely different ways. Zephyrians built things to be efficient and predictable, because their bug-like minds valued order above everything else. Humans built things to be creative and adaptable, because their mammalian brains were designed to solve unexpected problems. The key insight, she explained to her staff as they prepared for the final phase, was realizing that alien technology becomes much more powerful when you stop using it the way aliens do. Captain Rick Barnes led the first wave of human space fighters against the alien fleet. His ships moved through the void using tactics that combined human aerospace knowledge with alien propulsion systems. They used Earth's gravity well and magnetic field as tactical advantages, while alien pilots struggled to understand what they were seeing. Target their command ship, Barnes ordered his squadron. Let's cut off the head of this snake. The Zephyrian fleet tried to adapt to this new threat but found themselves fighting an enemy that refused to follow the rules of engagement they understood. Human ships appeared and disappeared using stealth systems that worked on completely different principles than alien technology. They struck from impossible angles and retreated through dimensions that shouldn't exist. In his command center, Fleet Commander Xeno finally understood the terrible truth. The primitive mammals had not been hiding simple technology. They had been hiding the fact that they could learn from their enemies and improve on everything they encountered. All units, prepare for emergency withdrawal, he ordered his fleet. These creatures are not what we believed them to be, but withdrawal was no longer possible. Human forces had surrounded the alien fleet using ships and weapons that shouldn't exist according to any database in the Zephyrian Empire. The Zephyrian Empire had won every war they ever fought. Their crystal ships moved through space like giant knives cutting through butter. The bug-like aliens inside these ships had never lost a battle in 300 years. They had taken over 47 different worlds and turned them into slave planets. Fleet Commander Xeno stood on the bridge of his main ship called Void Piercer. He looked at the reports his scouts had brought back about a small blue planet in the Sol system. The planet was called Earth by the creatures living there. Xeno made clicking sounds with his mouthparts that meant he was laughing. Look at these pathetic mammals, he said to his officers. They still burn dead plants and animals to make their machines work. They shoot metal tubes into space using chemical explosions. How backward can a species be? The scout reports showed everything about Earth. The humans had no energy shields to protect their cities. They had no quantum drives to make their ships go faster than light. They had no plasma weapons that could cut through solid metal like it was paper. Instead, they used guns that shot small metal pieces and bombs that made loud bangs. Sub-Commander Velkath brought more information to his leader. Sir, these humans fight each other all the time. They have many different groups that hate each other. Some have better weapons than others, but all their weapons are very old-fashioned. Xeno clicked his mouthparts again in amusement. Perfect. A divided species with primitive technology. This will be easier than taking candy from a larva. On Earth, Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command center deep underground. He watched the alien ships appear on his screens as they came out of faster-than-light travel near the moon. The crystal ships were beautiful in a deadly way. They moved with smooth grace that made Earth's clumsy rockets look like toys. Morrison had gray hair and tired eyes from years of preparation. He had spent his whole career getting ready for this day. Next to him stood Dr. Lisa Hayes, a smart woman who knew more about aliens than anyone else on Earth. She had studied every piece of alien technology that had ever crashed on their planet. "Here they come," Morrison said quietly, "just like we knew they would." The first alien message came through their radio systems. The computers worked hard to turn the strange alien sounds into English words. After a few minutes of crackling noise, a cold voice spoke. "Weak creatures of the third planet from your star," the message began. "Your world now belongs to the great Zephyrian Empire. Put down your simple weapons and get ready to serve us. If you fight back, we will be amused before we destroy you." The message showed pictures of other worlds the aliens had conquered. Great cities burned under bright energy beams. Bug-like soldiers marched through smoking ruins while scared aliens ran away or fell down dead. The message was clear. Fighting back was useless. Morrison and Hayes looked at each other. They both smiled small, secret smiles. "Send the standard reply," Morrison told his communication officer. "Tell them we surrender but need time to organize our governments." Lieutenant Ben Parker typed the message and sent it to the alien fleet. The reply was exactly what they expected. "You have 6 of your planet's rotations to prepare," came the alien response. "After that, our forces will land and begin processing your species. Do not try to run. Do not try to hide. Accept your fate with dignity." Hayes walked over to a special computer that was hidden behind a fake wall. She typed in a long code and pressed her hand against a scanner. The computer beeped and showed a green light. "Operation Sleeping Giant is now active," she announced. "All hidden bases are receiving the signal." Around the world, secret facilities began to wake up. Underground bunkers that had been built over 20 years started powering up systems that no alien scanner had ever detected. In deep ocean trenches, massive submarines that looked nothing like human technology prepared to rise. In hidden mountain caves, fighter planes that combined human engineering with recovered alien parts got ready to fly. The Zephyrians had made one big mistake. They thought humans were stupid because human technology looked primitive. But humans had been finding crashed alien ships for decades. Every piece of metal, every broken computer, every damaged weapon had been studied and copied and improved. Dr. Hayes had spent 15 years learning how alien minds worked. She discovered that the bug-like Zephyrians only looked for technology that was similar to their own. They expected energy shields, so they looked for energy shields. They expected quantum drives, so they looked for quantum drives. They never thought to look for hybrid systems that mixed alien technology with human creativity. "The beauty of it," Hayes explained to Morrison, "is that we let them see exactly what they expected to see. Primitive rockets that barely work. Simple weapons that can't hurt their ships. Divided governments that can't work together. They saw all of that because that's what they wanted to see." Morrison nodded and activated his communication system to talk to secret bases around the world. "All stations, this is Overwatch Command. The Fisher and the Net. Begin Phase 1 deception protocols." Across Earth, military units that the aliens thought were weak and scattered began moving into position. But these were not desperate last stands. These were carefully planned traps that had been designed specifically to catch overconfident alien invaders. Colonel Steve Rogers received his orders in New York City. His job was to make his soldiers look like they were running away in panic, while actually leading the alien ground forces into prepared kill zones. Major Amy Foster got ready to fly her fighter plane in what would look like a hopeless attack, but would actually gather intelligence on alien ship defenses. The Zephyrians prepared to land on Earth, confident that they would have another easy victory to add to their long list of conquered worlds. They had no idea that the primitive mammals they were about to attack had been preparing for this moment for decades. In space, more Zephyrian ships arrived to join the invasion fleet. Soon there would be 300 crystal vessels surrounding Earth, each one filled with soldiers eager to claim their share of the conquest. They laughed and clicked their mouthparts as they imagined how quickly the human resistance would collapse. None of them suspected that they were flying into the most carefully prepared trap in galactic history. 6 months after the failed invasion, the Zephyrian High Council waited impatiently for reports from their conquest fleet. Fleet Commander Zikthara should have sent word about the successful capture of the primitive world called Earth. The silence from the Sol system was becoming concerning. High Commander. Tekfar clicked his mandibles in irritation as he addressed the council chamber on the Zephyrian homeworld. "Still no word from the Third Conquest Fleet. This is highly unusual for such a routine operation against primitive mammals." The other council members shifted restlessly in their crystal chairs. 300 ships and 30,000 soldiers had been sent to claim a single backward planet. Such a force should have completed the conquest in less than a week. The continued silence made no sense. Perhaps they encountered unexpected resistance, suggested Sub-Commander Yelthin. Some primitive species fight harder than others when facing extinction. High Commander Tekvar dismissed this suggestion with a wave of his clawed appendage. Impossible. Our scouts confirmed that these humans possessed no significant technology. They were still burning chemical fuels and launching crude rockets. Zikthara probably decided to take his time processing the population. But as more weeks passed without communication, the High Council decided to investigate. They dispatched a small scout fleet to the Sol system with orders to determine what had happened to their invasion force. The scout ships arrived at Earth expecting to find a conquered world under Zephyrian control. Instead, they found exactly what their original surveys had detected months earlier. A small blue planet with primitive mammals burning fossil fuels and launching simple chemical rockets into space. Scout Captain Melchris transmitted his findings back to the homeworld with growing confusion. High Command, we detect no trace of our invasion fleet in this system. The primitive world shows no signs of conquest or resistance. Everything appears exactly as it did in our original reports. The mystery deepened when the scouts attempted to scan for wreckage or debris from the missing fleet. Their most sensitive instruments found nothing. No destroyed ships, no battle damage, no evidence that 300 Zephyrian vessels had ever visited this system. Run deeper scans, ordered High Commander Thekvar from across interstellar space. Check for cloaked facilities or hidden technology. Something must explain the disappearance of an entire conquest fleet. But the deeper scans revealed only more primitive human activity. The mammals were launching the same crude satellites and conducting the same simple space missions they had been doing for decades. Their radio transmissions contained entertainment broadcasts and scientific data that suggested a species barely capable of reaching their own moon. Captain Melchris spent 2 weeks thoroughly investigating the system before submitting his final report. High Command, we find no evidence of advanced technology or military capability among the indigenous population. These humans appear to be exactly what our original surveys indicated. Primitive mammals with chemical propulsion and projectile weapons. The scout fleet departed, after adding Sol 3 to the official list of dead systems, where Zephyrian forces had been lost to unknown hazards. The High Council concluded that Fleet Commander Zikthara must have encountered some natural disaster or navigational error that destroyed his entire fleet before reaching the target world. What the Zephyrians never discovered was that humanity had spent the past 6 months erasing every trace of the invasion. The battle had been fought with careful attention to evidence removal from the very beginning. Dr. Lisa Hayes had coordinated the cleanup operation from her underground facility. Every piece of alien wreckage was collected and studied before being completely vaporized. Every crash site was cleaned and restored to its original condition. Even the bodies of dead Zephyrians were processed through matter converters that left no trace of their existence. The key, she explained to Commander Morrison during their final briefing, was making sure the aliens never realized they were fighting a war they couldn't win. We had to let them use their own technology and tactics right up until the moment we destroyed them. The captured alien ships had been the most valuable prizes. Human engineers spent months reverse engineering every system. Every weapon, every piece of technology the Zephyrians had brought to Earth. The invasion fleet became humanity's greatest source of advanced knowledge about galactic civilization. Colonel Sam Mitchell led teams of specialists through the captured vessels, cataloging everything from navigation computers to personal equipment. Every alien database was downloaded and analyzed. Every communication record was studied to learn about Zephyrian military doctrine and imperial politics. We now know the locations of 47 Zephyrian colony worlds. Mitchell reported to the secret council that governed Earth's hidden military projects. We have complete maps of their trade routes, military bases, and communication networks. Most importantly, we understand their weaknesses. Captain Rick Barnes had been promoted to admiral and placed in command of humanity's new space force. The hybrid ships built from captured alien technology were already being mass-produced in secret facilities on the far side of the moon. Earth's true military capability was growing stronger every day, while maintaining the appearance of primitive helplessness. Phase 2 is ready to begin whenever you give the order. Barnes reported to Morrison. Our deep space reconnaissance ships can reach any Zephyrian world within 6 months. They'll never see us coming. But Commander Morrison was not ready to reveal humanity to the galaxy just yet. The longer Earth remained invisible, the more time they had to prepare for the larger conflicts that were surely coming. Major Kate Sullivan commanded the first human vessel to leave the solar system on a secret scouting mission. Her ship looked like nothing in any alien database but was faster and more powerful than most Zephyrian cruisers. Her crew had been trained to observe alien civilizations without being detected. Remember, Morrison briefed Sullivan before her departure, we're still officially a primitive species that barely knows how to leave our own planet. Every alien we encounter should continue believing that humans are harmless mammals with crude technology. The strategy was working perfectly. Across the galaxy, other species continued to ignore the small blue planet in the Sol system. Intelligence reports gathered by human infiltrators confirmed that Earth was still considered a backward world of no strategic importance. Dr. Hayes smiled as she reviewed the latest data from their galactic surveillance network. Humanity now had agents and monitoring stations throughout Zephyrian space, all disguised as natural phenomena or innocent civilian activities. The beautiful thing about being underestimated, she told her research team, is that it gives you unlimited time to prepare for the moment when you stop pretending to be weak. In the depths of Earth's oceans, massive construction projects continued around the clock. New ships, new weapons, new bases that would make the defensive installations used against the Zephyrians look primitive by comparison. Humanity was preparing not just to defend their world, but to take their place among the predator species of the galaxy. The Zephyrian Empire had lost their greatest invasion fleet to creatures they still believed were primitive mammals. They would never get the chance to make that mistake again. Commander Morrison stood in his orbital command center, looking out at the stars that no longer seemed so distant or threatening. Humanity had passed their first test against galactic civilization and discovered they were far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Begin Phase 2, he ordered his staff. It's time to introduce ourselves to the rest of the galaxy. The stars awaited, and Earth's children were finally ready to claim their inheritance.